Hello everyone. Today I would like to show you how to create a structural framing or any other elements using reference lines using Python and Dynamo script. But as always, let's take a look at the workflow. Here I'm gonna have a short Dynamo script using a Python script inside it, and as a inputs we are gonna select model elements which are going to be two lines, and in the right bottom you see the final results that I placed a structural framing using two lines. Inside Python script, we are going to import necessary libraries, and then we are going to set our inputs and unwrap the elements coming from Revit space to be able to use them in the Dynamo space. And finally, we are going to place beam elements using for loop in the Python. So without further ado, let's dive in. Alright, I have just already modeled my curves at level 01 and level 02. You can manage it whatever you want, and these curves can be actually the edge of the slabs or floors. So let's go to the Dynamo. First of all, I'm gonna bring out my Python script. All right, as we saw in the introduction, we had 5 inputs, so let's have all the inputs here. And for the very first node, we need to select our curves, right? Since we have 2 curves, I'm gonna have 2 of these nodes here and here. For the second input that we need to have it integrated in the for loop, we need to set up a range. For that purpose, I'm going to use a number slider, and for now I'm gonna set it to 30. And creating range, as you know, we can have multiple approaches for this one. So I'm gonna use a code block. So I'm gonna say from 1 to from 0 to 1 with a step of 30 numbers. All right, so I'm gonna say hash. Let me switch this to, all right. Okay, this should be my 30. Okay, and for the fourth input, we need to select our structural framing type. So I'm gonna search for a structural framing types. Here we go. So we have just one in the model. I'm gonna select that for now. And we need to select our lever, where we are going to actually place our structural framing. I'm gonna select level 1. All right, so before we go inside the Python script, let's take a look at the sliding number and the range that we have created here. Let me run this one once. Okay, here we go. As you can see, I've got 30 numbers, okay, starting from index 0, between number 0 and 1. This is the actually the number of structural framing that I'm going to place in each with this distance of the distance from between each structural framing. All right. So just to be clear, that we are going to use this in the inside for loop. All right. Let's wire this up all to the Python script and edit this Python. Let me enlarge this one here. Cool. We need import system, so I'm gonna leave this one. Common language runtime and proto geometry. We need that as always. And here I'm gonna actually bring out from the Dynamo script Revit nodes. So I'm gonna say clr dot add, I'm gonna add another reference, right? Which is my Revit node inside quotation marks. Okay. And I'm gonna import Revit. And from Revit, that's elements, another library. I'm gonna import all the elements I'm gonna need. Cool. Actually, we can delete all this all the way up to here. Okay. Now we need to query Revit elements and convert them to Dynamo curves. Actually, we need to bring our curves from the Revit space to Dynamo space. So for that reason, I'm gonna name the curves like a curve A equal, as an input we had it 0, and I'm gonna convert it to the curve Dynamo curve this way. So I'm gonna copy this one here to have my second curve as an input 0, 1, sorry. Input 0, input 2, we had it here as a range. All right, so I'm gonna integrate it inside the for loop directly. So let's jump to the fourth input, which was my framing type. I'm gonna name it framing type. What was that? All right, let's copy this one and insert our last input, which was I'm gonna name it design level. Cool. Now we need to define an empty list to store all the framings modeled inside the Revit. So I'm gonna make an empty list, name it out, and here is my empty list. And now let's start with the for loop. I'm gonna say for values, I'm gonna short it to val in input 2. So basically I'm saying that for all the values those 30 nodes that we created within the range, all right, and convert it into in the input number 2. Let's start from the bottom of this for loop. To create a beam inside the inside Python script, we need this statement. I'm gonna name it beam equal structural framing dot beam by curve. Now this is my statement. As an argument, I'm gonna need 3 arguments. The first is my curve, so I'm gonna name it here beam curve. The second one should be my design level, which I had it as an input here. And the last argument should be my type, framing type. So let's copy that and place it here. So basically within these arguments we do have design level as input and framing type, all right, but we don't have beam curve. We need to create curve between those 2 curves that we had in the Revit. So let's start with creating curve. For creating curve, I'm gonna need 2 points, all right. So I'm gonna define point A equals, as a statement, I'm gonna have curve dot point at parameter, all right. And as an argument, I'm gonna have my curve A and my values, which was inside the range. And for the second one, let's copy this line here and paste it here and rename it point B. I'm gonna have curve B. So now with these 2 points we can actually create our curves, okay. So the name of the curve should be the one that we had as an argument inside this statement here. I'm gonna say line dot by a start point and end point. And as an argument, we already defined our points here. Cool. Let me clear up the space here. We don't need these ones here. So now we need to list our outputs. Our outputs are the face of the beams created by this for loop, and we need to store them inside the our empty list here. Okay, so for that reason, I'm gonna say out that append beam dot faces. Okay, now we are done with the Python scripts. Let's save it. I'm gonna put it down here just for now, just to be sure that we write everything correctly. So I'm going to select my my curve inside the Revit. All right, this is my first one, and this is my second line curve. All right, so let me shrink a little bit the Dynamo over here, but I can see the one top. I'm gonna just make a space here to see the result directly inside Revit. Okay, that's fine. We have all the inputs. All right, and let's start run. Cool. As you can see, all the structural framings are placed within those two curves. That I'm gonna have actually 30 structural framing here. Let me just select them all, and as you can see, I'm gonna have 30 structural framing inside those curves with a equal distance between each other. So that this workflow can be applied into other elements inside Revit, which can be created within the two curves and using creating method with curve. I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a good day.